afternoon. I'm Melanie Stansbury, and I am very deeply proud to represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District and to be part of a state delegation in New Mexico that is seeking to turn the Epstein Files into Epstein trials. As we stand here today, New Mexico is the first and only state to pass a state law to investigate this case. And what I think is extraordinary about today, and I want to acknowledge Congresswoman Frankel, is that this is the first congressional hearing on this case to ever be held in West Palm Beach. Think about that. The first criminal allegation against Jeffrey Epstein happened more than 25 years ago in this community. Police looked the other way. Your state Attorney General looked the other way. Our national and federal attorney generals and investigatory bodies looked the other way. The FBI had gobs of evidence that there were criminal enterprises going on here in this community that included the exploitation of children, the trafficking of children across state lines, international trafficking of children and women, and financial crimes. And over the last 2.5 decades, not a single congressional hearing has been held on this case here in this community where it all started. And so I want to say thank you to Congresswoman Frankel and to our soon-to-be chair of the Oversight Committee, because we would not be here if it were not for them and for the survivors who were brave enough to show up today and to tell their stories on camera for the world to hear. Now, I just want to say this as I close out my comments. There are lots of discussions about the failure of the system to hold Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the potentially dozens of men who exploited young girls and trafficked and participated in the sexual exploitation of survivors. But this was not an isolated incident of failures of a system. This is a system that was designed to exploit children. It was a system that protected the wealthy and powerful, and it was a system that intentionally chose not to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein under federal law, which enabled him to commit potentially hundreds of other cases of rape, abuse, grooming, and transnational sex trafficking. That is not just system failure. That is a system that was designed to enable rich and powerful people to get away with anything that they wanted. That's right. And so we're here today to make sure that the voices of survivors, that the stories of survivors are heard not just in this community, but across the world, and to make sure that we take on that system directly. To say we are not going to stand for this one more moment, and to end the injustices that have allowed this to happen in this community and communities all across the country. And so we demand accountability. We demand action. We demand that Pam Bondi show up for her deposition. We demand that Donald Trump release the Epstein Files. We demand that Todd Blanche actually prosecute these crimes, and we demand accountability for every single perpetrator that is still out there. We are coming for you.